In this one, I wanted to talk a little bit more about some of the cracks that had finally started to show up during Trent's behavior and you know, his unpredictability that was starting to take place. At this point, he had known Melody for all of 2 days, maybe. They were headed to a restaurant called Vista Vio and kind of did a lot of descriptions on this drive there. A lot of time spent getting there, more talking, more getting to know one another. When they finally get there, the valet, um, the valet grabbed Melody. And normally, if something like this happens, you would expect there to be some kind of argument, right? You would expect a physical altercation or yelling or something. You know, a valet grabs your girlfriend or your wife or something. You as a person are going to stand up and stop that from happening. You're going to argue. You're going to get mad. You're not. It's going to turn into a scene. In Trent's situation, that wasn't the case. There was no emotion, just a cold bravado that he was walking around the vehicle and attacked this man. And when he did so, his intention was to kill him. There was no in between. There was no moral compass to tell him that what he was about to do was wrong. And so this was one of his major cracks. That was the first time somebody had been able to see just how far Trent was willing to go. He grabs this guy, he's got him down, he's ready to just curb stomp him into the ground and be done with it. And he was stopped. I don't know if I would have stopped him myself as an author if the co-author hadn't stopped him. I'm not entirely sure that I would have. I may have just let him go ahead and do it and take this from a purely jail/lawyer involved situation. But the co-author did stop Trent from going through with that. But it led to an interesting situation where the law got involved. You had the co-author have her character suddenly faint after the strain of everything. You had the police get involved. You had EMTs there. So as they're at the hospital, I got to kind of look up and do some research on how would somebody of wealth handle a situation like this. Like what exactly about this, how would wealth make a difference, right? Because I know if this happened to everyday Joe, we're going to jail. It's not a thing. It's happening. But when it came to somebody who's a multimillionaire, what is the process that's going to happen? And that kind of research is not easy to find. It's not as if they it's not like they make this public knowledge, but you can find incidents of it. So he called his law firm, and there's a good portion of them. He had a personal doctor come and look over things, and the lawyer, when the police and everybody's questioning him, he's kind of like, speak to my lawyers. If I'm looking around, it's because I'm thinking. It's speak to my lawyers, do this, do that. And the lawyers kind of, they branch off, right? Like some of them come and sit with him, and the other ones go to see the victim. And when they're with the victim, this was kind of a moment where they're trying to settle out of court. How much is this going to cost? how about we ignore this whole incident if we take care of hospital bills and give you $25,000? Would that resolve this incident? And so that's kind of the majority of how these situations were handled. So that's kind of how I wanted to handle it with Trent as well. And while this was going on, I had the police officers doing their huff and puff and kind of showing Trent, we're not afraid of you because of your money. We're not intimidated by you. And his lawyers are eating this up because this was another thing that I had been researching, or that had popped up during my research, is that police can do this to some of the wealthier people. And lawyers enjoy it because they can view a lot of this as a type of prejudice to somebody that has money, and they can form their own lawsuits based on this type of prejudice towards people that have money. And I know it seems silly, but it's a thing. So yeah, that's kind of how that whole situation worked out. You got to see some cracks. You got to see that there was no moral compass there. I had a couple more people kind of remind Trent and come in there and kind of slide in a few reminders that he could have killed this man. And I showed Trent's inability to process not what it meant, but why that was such a big deal. And the fact that, why would you hit somebody if you didn't intend to kill them, kind of concept. So this is the way his brain was thinking, and I really wanted to push that through and show that during this whole scene that took place. In the next one, we will definitely be talking about the murder. It took a minute to get here, but we're there, and the murder was a fun one, so I'll see you in the next one.